Welcome back to CSE 3200 Yukon Stores. We're in video 2 of Chapter 13 on Fragment navigation. In this video, we're going to pass data to a Fragment instance using the Safe Args Gradle plugin. Right now, whenever we click from the list over to the detail, we get a detail screen, whereas before it would just give us a toast. So we achieved that in our last video. However, right now, none of the data is getting passed along. This is just a blank title, is the solved checkbox will always be not checked. Now, if we were back in GeoQuiz, we would have dealt with this like we did in Chapter 7 by having activities pass values along using intents. When you do that, you typically pass it along as part of the bundle. But we have a better way here in Fragments. We are going to be using the navigation libraries plugin called Safe Args, and it does a lot of that behind the scenes work for us. Under the hood, it's still doing intents and passing things along in bundles, but it's going to offer up code that is safer and easier to use, which I'm sure we are all grateful for. In order to use this, we must touch both of our Gradle files. So we are going to put in the last line that you see in each of those spots. Let's go do that now. All right, first let's go into the app level and put in ID Android X dot navigation dot safe args dot Kotlin, and then outside of the quotes version 2.4.1 and apply false. Let's go into the module version, and we are going into the plugins and put in ID inside the quotes Android X dot navigation dot safe args. Right, I'm going to sync and see if it works. It did sync. It looks like it will run. Good to go. All right, we're going to make a couple of changes right where we ended the previous video when we had put in this, this resource ID, r.id.showCrimeDetail. Now, Safe Args, the way it works is kind of like view binding. It is going to create classes and functions based off of what you already have. It is going to include things like the ID and the when we navigate, we're going to use the classes instead of those resource IDs. Safe Args appends the word directions onto the name of the destination class. So for crime list fragment, Safe Args is going to generate the class called crime list fragment directions. So we are going to see that here before the dot. So that is going to be the name of our class, dot, and then Safe Args also is going to generate functions based on the ID of the destination. So for show crime detail, it is going to generate the function show crime detail pren. So you can see here in the layout, we'd have the underscore ID show crime detail, and it uses the snake code. And here we use camel code over here in the Kotlin version, so it's going to do that conversion for us. So we're just basically going to replace this line, the ID with crime list fragment directions dot show crime details. Let's do that now. So we need to bring up crime list fragment. And we are going to get rid of this line of code. and we are going to put in crime list fragment directions dot show crime detail, and that's it. All right, so we're going to run this, and we're going to select a crime, and we really don't get anything different. Now, the reason is we haven't told it what crime to go to. We are going to go into the nav graph, and let's get rid of this. And having the crime detail fragment selected, we are going to come over to the arguments and hit the plus sign to add an argument. We are going to put for the name, this is going to be the crime ID. The I is uppercase, but it's the only uppercase. Now, for the type, we are going to get inferred type. Take a look at this drill down menu. We could get explicitly an integer, a float, long Boolean string, resource reference, custom serial. Oh, wait a minute. We want custom serial because the UUID class implements the serialized interface. So we want this one. And now there's lots of different options. And you can see we have like 7 of them, 6 of them, and 6.5 of them showing right now, all in the A to AB. So we have a search bar. We're just going to put in U, and there we go. We've got UUID. I just hit the tab for autocomplete, and that should do it. We're going to hit the add. Now we're going to go back to the code, and we can see some new code here right there. So on that destination fragment, you can see that it has a name, and it is crime ID, and it has an arg type of java.util.uuid. Now we're going to go back to crime list fragment, which currently doesn't show an error, but when we get there, it should. I don't see one yet. So let's go File and Save All. Okay, it never did show me the error until I tried to run it. Even after doing Save All, the error is going to be here, and the reason is that it now expects as a parameter a UUUID. Now, before we can fix this error, we need access to the ID. And the crime's ID is going to be known when setting the view.onClick listener for the crime holder root view. What we have to do now is we got to pass that ID back up to the crime list fragment. So let's go get that adapter. And where we see the binding.root or the bind function, okay, we are going to put inside of these parentheses crime ID of type UUID. Get an import for the UUID. Sometimes that has been importing for me quickly without me actually hitting Alt-Shift-Enter, but it didn't this time. All right, so I think that will generate an error elsewhere. Okay, down here in the onBind view holder, we've got an error, but we probably have another one. Yep, up here in the onClicked. All right, so we need the crime ID here. And we need to go down to the list adapter, and in these parentheses here, we need to do the same thing as we did above by putting in crime ID of type UUID. And I still have an error. I see it. I was quick to say that as crime ID. It's crime.id. Now we have access to the ID back in the crime list fragment, so we're going to go back into crime list fragment. And we are going into the adapter. And with the crime list adapter for the lambda function, we are going to have crime ID. And in show crime detail, crime ID. All right, I want to cover this a little bit before going back into the code. We're now at the point where we have we made our changes on the list side, and we are going to pass information along to the fragment side, but we need access to this data on this end. So safe args via a property delegate, which you can see right here where we're going to use that property delegate. It's going to grant access to navigation arguments. You're going to have access to them by using the name of the class with the word args appended at the end. So the crime detail fragment has its navigation arguments wrapped up in the crime detail fragment args class. At this point, we are not going to still be able to get all of the data. That's still going to take a while before we are there. But what we could do is we could see that we actually have access to the crime ID by making a tag and then printing out whenever we create this fragment, we have access to that particular fragment's ID. So let's do that now. So we need to go into crime detail fragment and go to the top. At the top level, private constant tag equals crime detail fragment. Forgot val. All right, let's go to the bottom of the onCreate. Let's put in our log statement. Tag as the first argument, and then just blank quotes right now until I import the log. And then we are going to, inside the double quotes, put the crime ID. The crime ID is $, curly braces, args, which doesn't know at this point because we haven't put that in, dot crime ID. All right, let's put that args in by using the nav args property delegate. So we're going to go here and go private val args crime detail fragment args by nav args. This goes away, and I think we may need an import there. No, looks like we're okay. All right, so let's run it, and then we'll turn on logcat once we have the database active so that we can see that when we click to a detail screen, we get a ID for a particular crime. All right, let's go into logcat. And I have a couple of tags here, not ones I want. Crime list fragment. Now I want crime detail fragment. All right, and then I will click toxic lunch. And I don't get anything. Perhaps I misspelled it. And I did copy and paste. I tried again. I'm still not getting a log statement, which is curious, but All it would show us is that we would have access to the data. It will be troubling if I truly don't, but I'm guessing that something is going on with my logcat that's not showing up. It did take a very long time for it to get started, and I have had problems with the editor this morning. So we'll see. We're going to wrap up this video here, and we are going to move on to unidirectional data flow. See you in that video.